just giving you something to do just to focus on your breathing. There's actually a slide later where we can practice that. The second one, I encourage those who kind of, we live in a society where we have to rush through everything. So I like to encourage people. I haven't really done it in a group, but food journals or just therapeutic journaling in general. Allow yourself some time to process your day. How did your day go? Was it good? Was it bad? How could you have made it better? What did you have for lunch? Just focusing on really paying attention. Well, if you can't remember what you had for breakfast, maybe tomorrow you need to really focus and pay attention on what you're eating. Turtling. Just comparing what we do as individuals to the life of a turtle. Sometimes they snap when they get upset, they retreat when they need a moment to themselves, then just applying that to, well, how are you like a turtle? The first time I did that in group, people looked at me like, what are you talking about, turtle? But once they got to doing the activity, it's like, oh, that really makes sense. It is kind of what I do. When I get upset, I do snap at people. Or when I get depressed, I do kind of retreat and don't want to be around people. So it's just making them more observant of the things that they already do. Distress tolerance. I tell patients it's just a fancy word for stress management. Okay, we could probably talk the whole week on stress management because a lot of times that's what people really need to focus on. How to de-stress. And I find that a lot of times patients are so worried about their family, their friends, their responsibilities, their job. Oh, I'm going to lose my job when I get out of here. Or my kids, what are my kids doing while I'm here? And I have to kind of remind them that if you leave how you are now, is that going to be beneficial to all those responsibilities you just named? Okay. Why is stress management important? Because if you don't take care of you, you can't take care of anybody else or any of your responsibilities. And so, well, I get that. Well, are you hearing me is what I'm trying to say. Saying it is one thing, practicing is another. I think a lot of times people know what stress management is, but they don't put it into practice. They'll put themselves on the back burner, let them get burned out, and then they wonder why they can't continue. All right. Another thing I like with the stress tolerance is you don't have to necessarily like whatever situation you're left to deal with. You don't have to like being in the hospital. You don't have to like coming to group. But while you're here, you might as well make the best of it. How do you do that? Come to group. Even if you don't say a word in group, just listen. I might say something. One of your peers might say something. That might help. You never know. Realizing that you don't always have to like the situation that you're in probably goes best with radical acceptance. And also, I kind of compare that one too when we do that one group, the serenity prayer, because this pretty much goes hand in hand. God grant me the serenity, accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's really how I get the patients to pay attention to that one. Well, it makes sense that way. All right. Another of my favorites with this one is the pros and cons chart, which basically just kind of gets them to divide. If they were to stay the same, and if they were to actually participate in therapy, what would be the pros and cons of both? A lot of times I get things like, well, if I don't change, I might end up dead. If I don't change, I might lose my family. If I don't change, I'll be back in the hospital. Well, what are some of the things if I do change? If I do change, my family could be proud of me again. I can get back to the things I enjoy. And a lot of times the difference between why they won't participate and why they will is fear. What if I can't make it? What if I can't do it? What if I try and I fail? One thing about DBT, another one of the assumptions is you can't fail DBT. I don't like telling them that. You can't fail. Only time you fail is when you don't try. Okay. Success is founded under a lot of failures, is what I like to tell them. Interpersonal effectiveness, even though it's a great skill, it's not one of my favorites to really talk about in group, but I know they need it because it talks about things like boundaries, communication, dealing with difficult people. I mean, how many of us have difficult people we'll deal with every day? I can already plan on that one. But I did want to give you some of the worksheets because they are set up. I like acronyms, and it's probably one of the easiest way to remember some of the skills is just by all those worksheets. That's basically what they say across them. The dear man, there's a dear woman, give, fast. But listening to what they actually stand for, you kind of connect to why they're important. For instance, the give one is focused on relationships, talking about G stands for gentle in relationships, I stands for interest in others, V stands for validate, E stands for easy manner. Then all I do in group is just go through each one of those. Why is it important in a relationship? My favorite one to do is actually the fast one. It says being fair to self, apologize less. So I'm one of those people that says I'm sorry even though I'm not necessarily in fault. I'm sorry. Let's focus about how do you apologize less? Don't apologize unless you have something to apologize for. S, sticking to values, not just being in a relationship just to be in a relationship. And T is truth for self. Truth to self. I always tell patients you can lie to everybody else in this building, but at the end of the day, the only person you can't lie to is yourself. Okay, you have to answer to you. A lot of times I think in the back of their minds they think that they're getting over on us when they maybe try to manipulate or put things into just telling us what they think we want us to hear. But that's not really the case. It's not really the case. The only person they start changing is themselves. All right, emotional regulation. Just learning to feel what you feel without necessarily acting on it. Okay? I always tell patients, you're entitled to feel how you feel, but don't let a temporary emotion cause you to have a permanent behavior. I mean, you might be angry and you might say something, but once you say it, you can't take it back. We all know words hurt, so that person's going to remember what you said or what you did longer than you're probably not going to feel that same anger that was tied to it. Okay, the emotion is temporary, the behavior might be permanent. Also, trying to teach them that sometimes our behaviors are influenced by our emotions, but it might not necessarily be appropriate to the situation. All right, so some of my favorite worksheets with that one, riding the wave, learning to ride the wave of emotion. You know, sometimes we all get overwhelmed. Sometimes we don't necessarily know how we feel. Sometimes we might be feeling multiple things at once, but still, even though you're entitled to feel how you feel, you have to learn to kind of rein it in and get it under control. How do you do that? Building positive experience. Being able to prepare for when you have a bad day. Building mastery. They always ask, well, why do we do crafts or why do we do all these different therapeutic games? What's the point of all that? A lot of times it has to do with that one, the building the mastery part. Gives you a sense of accomplishment. If I can do this small task, maybe I can move up and do something a little greater next time. Okay, just leaving you with a sense of positivity about the situation and about your life, even on a small scale, it still matters. We actually had one patient not too long ago, before we get to this one, who I always joke that crafts might not be given enough credit because we had one patient who came in very confused, very psychotic, and we did copper tooling. I don't know if everybody knows what that is, but you're basically doing an imprint of a mold that they pick. Well, his particular one, you couldn't even tell what it was supposed to be. I looked at it later. It was supposed to have been a lion, but it looked like zigzags on a piece of copper. By the time he was getting ready to leave, he was so proud of his copper tooling because he redid the same one, and he actually took his time. The detail was right. He got it exactly. It was nearly perfect. But from the time he came in that one to the last one he did, it was a major difference, and that was a self-esteem booster for him. I think I ended up tossing the first one for him. The last one, but still, improvement. All right, here's our square breathing exercise. don't have to, but I always feel like whenever we're asking patients to do something, I'm not going to make them do something I wouldn't be willing to do myself, so I like to get right in there with them. We're doing chair yoga, I'm doing chair yoga with them. You're doing square breathing and